The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
Last night I had an opportunity to speak for the Chevra Kadisha of Brooklyn. Those are the people that bury and do tahara and people that pass away. So it's a little rough driving straight from the hospital to speak there, try to write a few notes, go home for 20 minutes on a napkin and figure something out. And I said, I want to tell you guys, I said, you know, the Jewish people, we're incredible. And there's so many great examples of why we're incredible. Hatzalah. What Hatzalah does makes no sense. I told them Chesed 24/7 makes no sense. The way we treat poor people on Purim makes no sense. Do you know in religious communities across the Jewish world, there are Bachurim boys from yeshiva that dress up in costumes, just barge into people's houses, dance around their table, take a few drinks without getting permission, and then ask for money for their yeshiva for poor people. The whole thing, why the boys agree to do it makes no sense, and why people allow them into their house makes no sense, and why somehow they then give them money also makes no sense. But that's what we are. I started to talk to them also about the numbers I told you about, the 1,500 to 246. I said, we're really such an incredible nation. I said, what might make us more incredible than anything else? Saying to them, I said, it's you guys. You're Chevra Kadisha, you're doing these things for people that will never ever see you and never ever thank you. And many of you are involved in this in ways, and no one wants to see you people. So at least Hatzalah gets a thank you, fantastic, unbelievable, what a great job you did. So most people, when you call someone, you're talking to someone, you say, oh, it's okay, I'll call you back later. I said, what do people tell you guys? I never want to talk to you again? Goodbye? I never want to, like, no one wants to see you people. You means something went really wrong if you people are in the room or your people are in the house and no one's excited about you, yet you do this incredible chesed again and again. I said, even your children sometimes don't even know the chesed you do. That's the beauty of our people. It's so incredible. After I was done, a man came over to me. His name is Leon Goldenberg. He says, you know the peanut chews? I said, yeah. He says, that's not me. Okay. So Leon Goldenberg. He says, my father passed away 48 years ago. I said, well, okay. And he said, a year later, someone came over to me and said, we're starting a Chevra Kadisha for Brooklyn. And I just want to know if you want to take over your father's job. He said, my father's job? I took over my father's job. I took over the store. What are you talking about? He said, no, your father's job. He says, what job are you speaking of? He says, your father was involved in the Chevra Kadisha all these years. He says, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I would have known. It's my father. He said, no way. He says, go ask your mother. He goes home, he asks his mother. He says, Mom, Daddy, Chevra Kadisha? He says, yeah, Daddy's doing it for years. Daddy did Chevra Kadisha. How come I don't know anything about this? He says, well, he wanted it to be private. He wanted it to be a secret. And so he kept it inside of his soul and never shared it with anybody. He says, and because of that, I agreed to be part of the Chevra Kadisha. He's been a part of this group for 47 years. 47 years of burying people and purifying people and taking care of people without anybody knowing. He said, a few years ago, I met a woman, someone, a rebbitzin of a rabbi in one of the local shuls who comes from the town my father came from in Europe. She says, you know, I have a book, some of the ledgers and the information from that town. Would you like to see the book? He says, wow, that would be incredible. I'd love to see the book. And he looks through the book, and in one page he sees they put in some information about someone who passed away and some random information, and it's signed by the 4 people in charge of the Chevra Kadisha. One of those 4 people was his grandfather. So he says, here you go. It's in now. It's from 1927. So pretty much 100 years of our family doing chesed without anyone knowing, even their children. It's that spark that makes us great.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org